All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? I am back. For those who are watching me from before, awesome. Event, awesome. Make sure it's comments, cool. Awesome. All right, you guys. I apologize. My power went out. There's a major storm going on the East Coast. So power went out. Lost my Wi-Fi connection. I'm just glad that we're back on live. So same topic. Let me 1 second here. Awesome. All right, you guys. So for today's lesson, we are going to talk about the blueprint of how to become a software engineer. Okay, because I know for a lot of people in this group, everybody's at different stages. Some people come to this group and they're like, hey, I'm brand new to this. I never heard of this. I don't know what this is. And I'm just trying to get started so I can learn. That's group number one. Group number two are the folks who are currently in boot camp. They're currently in school and they have some understanding of it. They just need help. They just need more guidance with their learning. That's group number two. And group number three is the ones who already learned everything for the most part and they're just trying to get a job. So this video is more pertaining to group number one. This video is more for group number one who are brand new. They don't know what software engineering is. They don't know how to get started. They don't know what to study first. So I'm going to be your guide for today on this roadmap, okay? So if you guys have any questions, put your questions in the comment box. I'll pause and I'll answer your questions. And yeah, let's go from there, all right? So this is a very informal live training because usually I do a PowerPoint. Finally got a whiteboard, so I figured to do things a little informal. All right. Now, when it comes to becoming a software engineer, the number one thing you have to understand is what is the makeup of a software? That's question number one. So we're going to talk about that right now. What makes up a software application? So I'm going to use the example of Facebook. We know Facebook is a website. I'll put Facebook here, and it's a nice, beautiful website, right? You got your profile, full of avatar here. You got menu options, and then you have the newsfeed. So when you're scrolling through your phone, and there's a nice newsfeed. So that's Facebook, and Facebook is known as a web app. Is a web app, right? Website web app. So it's a very robust software that we're using right now. So Facebook, the part that we see, we interact with, we scroll through Facebook to look at certain newsfeed. This is called the UI. This is the UI or the UX of the software. UI, UX. And also known as the presentation layer. So when you get an interview question and they ask you what the presentation layer is, it's the part that we can't see, the UI. Presentation. All right. Excuse my handwriting. So this is the presentation layer. Now, who actually develops the presentation layer? This is where front-end developers create the presentation layer. So this is for front-end. Front-end devs create the UI. All right. So that's the first part. This part that we all can see. Now, the second question we have to ask ourselves, like, hey, so how does Facebook run behind the scenes? Who writes the actual instructions, the line of code? Who gives the actual, who connects all the APIs and all these external tools that brings Facebook together and makes it work, right? So there's another layer. And this is the layer that we can't see, because this is happening all behind scenes of the part that we can't see. And this is called the business, this is the logic layer or the business layer. All right? So I'm going to put here logic / business layer. All right? And basically, all that is define rules, lines of codes, tools that Facebook is using to create this UI that we do see. All right. Now, who actually writes up all the business rules, logic, and etc.? The developers who write this is backend developers. Backend developers. When you see the word devs, I'm calling it they're developers, okay? So backend developers create the business logic and the rules, all right? Now, if you were to ask me which part is easier or harder, all right, for those who are starting now, front end is always it's a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier. When you get the back end, it's a little more complex. So that's why I recommend everybody starting out with front end first when you start studying, okay? Now, there is one more layer, and this layer is super important because where does the data come from? Because you know how you scroll through Facebook and you see people's information, and the question you always got to ask yourself is, hey, where's this data being stored? Where is Facebook getting this data from? The data that we can see now on our screens. This is where every application have a data source. So I'm going to create a little cylinder. All right, I'm going to call it data source. All right, data source right here. Now, what could be a data source? A data source could be a database. It could be an API. So maybe Facebook is calling to another external tool or service to extract information. Maybe it's calling a different server, and that server is communicating with another API. So the data source, it could be a whole bunch of different things. But just keep in mind that every single software application has a data source. If there's no data source, there's no data that we can see on the front end, the part that we can't see. Put in the comment section if you guys understand. Put fire emojis, you got it. What these three layers are. For those who are live with me. Alright, no comments, it's all good. Awesome. So, we have the UI, we have the back end, and we have the data source, okay? Now, who actually do the data source? Who builds out the tables? Who actually writes the queries and the scripts to communicate with the data source? This is database developers. All right. So in the job postings, they may call it something else, SQL developers, or sometimes if you're going for a full stack developer, and full stack means that you learn all these three layers and you have all the skill sets as a full stack developer, then you will have to know how to use data source too. So, all right. So that's basically the makeup of a software. Everybody should know this. So if you get an interview question, say, hey, let me see what is the presentation layer? Like, hey, what tools do you use for your business layer? Or what tools do you use for your backend? Because the interviewer, they could ask you and they kind of rephrase it. They could reword it a little bit. Just understand that business layer is regarding to the backend. When they say presentation layer, they are referring to the front end. And when they say data, they're referring to the data source. What data source are you using for the data that everybody can see it in the front end, okay? Awesome. Now, let's get into the fun part. Let's talk about what programming languages you need to learn for each of these areas, okay? And I want to talk about the most popular one. So, let me get a sip of water. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to talk to my front-end developers. So for those who are interested in learning to become a front-end developer, this is the programming languages you need to learn, okay? Let's start with the basics. So this is for front-end. Front-end folks, pay attention. This is for you. What you need to learn is HTML, CSS, JavaScript. All right? These are the three programming languages you need to learn from the jump. All right? Let me see. Got it? Awesome. Yes, also. So front end. Ooh, you have to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, for those who are brand new and they're like, okay, what does these three programming languages do? The front end is HTML makes up the design of the web page, like the structure. So the HTML provides the web structure of a web page. So you'll learn that as you're going through your learning journey. The CSS handles the styling. So I'm going to call this web structure for the HTML. CSS handles the styling. Styling, like make it look nice. You see a blue button or you see gray borders on the website. That's all CSS. And then you have the JavaScript. Now, I want to forewarn you, JavaScript is probably the hardest part to learn for front-end developers. It's hard. Even I struggle with it to this day, and I've been a software developer for almost 5 years. Like, I still struggle with it. So, be patient with yourself when you're learning JavaScript. It's a beast. But it's such a powerful, powerful tool. And I'm going to show you why later on. But JavaScript handles the moving parts of your website. So let's say there's a pop-up, or maybe a video is being played, or maybe there's a special, effect that's going on the website. JavaScript handles that. So JavaScript handles the interactive parts of your website. All right. So this is your fundamentals for front-end developers. This is what you need to know. And it's pretty simple, right? It's just 3 programming languages. But let's not stop there, right? Because after you learn these 3, now, never going back to JavaScript. Make sure you know the basics of JavaScript, because if you want to learn other frameworks or libraries that is pertaining to JavaScript, you need to know this, okay? Now, when I say frameworks or libraries, they're basically additional tools and frameworks you can use to help with your web development. Keep it nice and simple. An example of a framework is React, Angular, Vue, and there's hundreds of different frameworks out there. But guess what? What's the common denominator with all these frameworks? You have to know JavaScript. If you don't know JavaScript, you're going to have a hard time knowing these frameworks, the React, the Angulars, the Vues, and all kinds. Bootstrap is another one. And you put Bootstrap down. Bootstrap is very popular. Bootstrap, so make sure you have these fundamentals down, because if you don't have these fundamentals down, it's going to be very difficult to learn these other frameworks and libraries. Give me a fire emoji, you got that. You have to know JavaScript. Give me another fire emoji, you got that. You have to know JavaScript to help you understand the rest of these libraries, okay? Now, do you have to be like an expert in JavaScript? No. But you should know foundationally how JavaScript works to help you navigate through these libraries, okay? Because they all use all these programming languages right here, okay? Awesome. So that's front end. Moving on, now we have the back end. So I'm going to talk about all the popular programming languages for back end, all right? Try to make this a quick video, guys. Try to make this a quick video. Don't want to do this. All right, we're going to talk about back end. Now, back end is more of my specialty. I'm a full stack developer, but I spend a lot of time in the back end. All right, yes, thank you for, yes, fire, yes. Awesome. I'm glad you guys are getting it. Cool. Now we have backend. Backend developers. Now, remember our software structure with the Facebook? Backend developers, they come up with all the lines of code and instructions. Basically the business logic, okay? This is all very logic. There's no front end or anything like that. So, what are the popular programming languages you need to learn for backend? Now, for my background, I'm a software engineer. I'm a pro with C#. So if you guys have any questions about C#, you can ask me. So C# is a popular language. Now, even though C is, let me back up. Python is the most popular and easier language to learn today, Python. But there are a lot of companies who are still using C#. So don't sleep on it either, So So even though Python is like the easiest language to learn, it's more popular, it's more widespread, more widely used, there's a lot of companies out there who are still using C# as well. So it's good to learn multiple programming languages, okay? So there's C#, there's Python, there's Java. A lot of companies use Java, like Amazon. You guys want to try to apply for Amazon jobs? Java is the language to learn. Now, Amazon, they do have different teams, but I do know going through the interview process, because I've gone through the Amazon interview process, most of their technology that they're using is Java-based. So, tidbit for you guys, for those who wants to work for Amazon. All right, so Java is also another good one. C#, Python, Java, there's Ruby Rails. All right, now me personally, hold on a second, you guys. So there's also Ruby Rails, So I never messed with Ruby before, but there's somebody else in the group who may have known Ruby Rails, so you can ask those group members in our group who may have learned Ruby Rails. But according to what I heard Ruby Rails are very friendly. It's an easy language to learn according to what I have learned, but I never messed with it myself. But I know this is one of the popular languages that are out there today, all right? So we got C#, we got Python, we got Java, Ruby Rails, and the list goes on. But these are the top languages of 2022. These are the top. A lot of these companies are using these languages, okay? And awesome. Fire here, also perfect. So this is for backend. Now, if I were you, if you are brand new and you never studied software engineering before, I highly recommend you start with front end. Start with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This is very beginner. It's very friendly learning, okay? The back end, this is where it gets a little more complicated, because now you're going to have to implement what you learn from the fundamentals and implement it to the back end. And the back end, it has its own set of rules, its own set of syntax you have to learn. So this will be the longest part of the learning journey right here for those who are studying to be full stack. This will be the longest part. So please be patient with yourself as you're learning. And please use this group if you have questions or you get stuck on something, or you can message me. I'm totally open to that, all right? So just be mindful that this will be the longest part of your journey, because these are big languages. There's a lot of rules you have to learn for you to master it, okay? All right, so that's back end. And now I'm going to get to the final step. And you guys are going to guess it. Is the database, data source database, all right? We're messing with data. Database, data source, whatever, right? Agree, yep, you got it. Yes, girl, yes. Back end is the hardest part, so be patient with yourself, all right? Now, we have the database. Now, this is a whole nother beast in itself. Now, when I say data or data source, the most popular one that companies use, corporate use, is databases because it's more secure, it's in-house, and even now with my company, they're using databases that are on the cloud. So that way we're not so reliant on the internals. So, but we still use databases, internals as well, depending on the application. So, with databases, what is a database, and what are the popular programming languages you need to learn to operate around a database? Now, there's a thing called SQL. SQL is the programming language for you to write scripts. And what does SQL mean? Structured Query Language. Sorry about my handwriting. I'm not the best at writing. So, SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and all you're doing with SQL is you're writing lines of commands and codes. Well, not codes, but lines of commands to extract data. You can create a table. You can insert data. You can write store procedures. So this language allows you to manipulate the data that's in the database. That's all that is. And if you were to ask me, like, hey, is this super hard or is this super easy? I would say this is like right in the middle. This is like right in the middle. I don't think this is super difficult to learn. I'll I'll post some resources in this group today, but I don't think this is like super difficult to learn because it's very straightforward. There's certain keywords you have to know, and then you have to know how to write out these command statements. So for example, there are select statements, join statements, then you have unions. You gotta know how to use the where keyword. You see, and then you have to do the store. You gotta know how to create a store procedure. So it's very like straightforward. You just know how to use the certain keywords and plug it into your statements. So it's very straightforward. So I want to say it's super easy, and I want to say it's super hard. It's like right in the middle, you know, because it is very straightforward. There isn't too much leeway. Like if you don't use it, if you don't use it a certain way, it's not going to work. You know, for example. All right. And speaking of SQL, I'm gonna give you guys a little hint. A lot of interview questions are going to be from SQL, right? And the most popular SQL question that they're going to ask you, that I have been asked personally throughout the years of interviewing, is know how to do a join statement, right? They're going to ask you, hey, can you pull data from these two tables? Because let's say there's a table right here that's called cars, and then there's another table called customers. So let's imagine this is a dealership, and they have their database for a dealership. So here's customers. So let's imagine you own a dealership and you want to store all the data for your customers. Let's see. Hard to master. Yep, I agree, Denise. I agree. Easy to learn, hard to master. Yeah, that's a great way to put it, Denise. Awesome. So like with SQL, right? So let's say you own a car dealership, right? And you want to have tables storing your inventory, and then let's say you want a table that stores your customers. So you can create like two tables, and these are special tables. These tables are called relational tables, all right? And the reason why they're called relational tables is because they have to have two primary identifiers, right? There's a primary key and there's a foreign key. I'll put a sheet of a key. I know, I'm horrible drawing, don't make fun of me. But this is a primary key, PK, and there's a foreign key. Every table has a primary key and a foreign key, okay? And this is also an interview question for those who are applying entry level. They do ask you this question, so pay attention. Primary key, foreign key. Now, a primary key is a special identifier, all right? So every table will have a column that has a primary key, and that primary key is a unique identifier for that table. So no other table will not have the same primary key. All right. So what makes these tables relational is the foreign keys, right? So let's say there's a special column called for each table ID, like a master ID. And the only way you can connect these two tables is through the foreign key. So the foreign key allows you to connect from one table to another. All right? Let me know if you guys are understanding what I'm talking about here. Give me a fire emoji if you guys understand what I'm saying right here. Between primary key and foreign key. Foreign key is what allows the tables to be connected because they share the same columns on both tables. Give me a fire emoji if you got that. All right? So primary key is foreign key. So that's what makes these tables relational. All right, so once you know the foreign key, now you can write out statements. Like if you want to pull up how many customers own BMWs, you could write a query statement that pulls data only the number of customers with their names and whatever who actually own BMWs. And that's all what SQL is. You gotta know how to extract data from the tables and use the right commands to do that, all right? So that's basically what SQL is. Fire, cool. I'm glad you got it, Denise. Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, so that's pretty much the blueprint of where to get started and what to learn. Okay, you guys. So thank you so much for joining my live video. I'm happy I got it under 30 minutes. So this is the roadmap. If you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. And hopefully later on this weekend, I'll post like a resource file of all the places you can go learn SQL, JavaScript, HTML, etc. All right. So thank you guys for joining my live, and yeah, enjoy the rest of y'all Saturday. See y'all.